citizenship for the kids of undocumented immigrants, reinstating the Remain in Mexico policy, laying the groundwork to send troops to the border, as Tommy mentioned, designated drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and also invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to expedite the removal of foreign-born criminals. That's immigration. He also is going to sign an executive order, quote, declaring that there are only two genders, aiming to end trans protections and the idea of gender identity within any kind of federal government office, service, etc. So, for example, passports will only be two genders. He'll also require that prisoners in the federal system be housed according to their sex at birth. He'll be declaring a national energy emergency, whatever that means, in order to expedite more drilling and fossil fuel production, and ending the electric vehicle mandate that wasn't really a thing, that he says is killing America. He's signing an EO creating the Department of Government Efficiency, or as we've all come to know and love it as DOGE, which, by the way, Vivek Ramaswamy, he's out at DOGE because he's running for governor of Ohio. Good luck, Ohio.
That's why he's out there.
Yeah, or it's just, think about how bad your fucking personality has to be. That you are co-lead of something with Elon Musk, and everyone's like, one of these guys has to go.
Yeah.
And it's you, Vivek.
Well, Little X was like, can you please stop carrying Vivek around on your shoulders?
That's my spot. That's my spot.
So they got a governorship.
I think he's just ambitious and wanted to be elected. He's dying to be elected.
Well, there's been a ton of leaks out of the Doge people that just
But they don't like
him.
He was also BT Milk.
Yeah, and also he was
Well, I'm sure the people.
he was also begging DeWine to make him the senator.
Yeah, that didn't work out either. Ending all
Allegedly.
ending all federal government DEI initiatives, including in the military. There was also an order saying in order to bring down inflation, it's a whole of government approach to bringing down inflation, because that's how it works. You just sign an EO and then inflation comes down.
Inflation's quivering in its boots.
Inflation is quivering in its boots. What do we know about what here is real, what's new, what's impactful, what's just for show? What do you think, Dan?
I mean, much of the immigration stuff is real. Like, there are really horrible stories you're hearing right now from people who had appointments with CBP, people who are seeking asylum appointments for 1 p.m. today who had them canceled at 12:01. The app that the Biden administration set up so that people could set up their appointments, they shut that down at 12:01 today. The birthright citizenship is potentially fake, but maybe not. Like, I mean, most legal scholars believe you cannot, the Constitution is pretty clear on this, and you cannot declare it, but the Trump administration can start thinking about it in that way, and up until it goes through the court system, people can be affected by it. A lot of this stuff is all, as you point out, it's like Trump creates this fake reality, and then he creates a series of fake solutions to solve the fake problems from the fake reality, like the electric vehicle mandate. Just declaring that government will stop censorship, will stop censoring things, all of that is really fake. But the immigration ones, I think, are quite real.
Trump says it's Liberation Day. And you look at this swath of EOs, and yes, there's fake censorship ones. But for the most part, there's nothing you weren't free to do yesterday that you're free to do today. There's nothing, I would love to see the list of things that Trump MAGA people would like to be free to do that they're not currently able to do under the yoke of Joe Biden. And so really what Liberation Day...
You can buy a Trump shitcoin and a Melania shitcoin.
Right, but those were for sale before Trump even took office. But it's more that, like, well, what does it really mean? What does Liberation Day mean? It means you get to watch on television all the people Trump has said are your enemies finally get their due. It's sort of it's like nothing good is happening to you, nothing better is happening for you. You're not free to do anything different. It's that Trump is targeting the enemies he's promised he was going to target, and that gives you a wonderful, I guess, liberated feeling.
Yeah, you could have saved a lot of time by just signing one EO on liberal tears. Just
Right.
Watch the libs cry.
Can't spell Liberation Day without lib.
That's right. That's right. You can't.
I'm saying.
Can't spell a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, like the Doge thing, I know they're trying to do like shock and awe, like a ton of executive orders. A lot of the birthright citizenship, I do, even conservative legal scholars don't think this stands a chance.
Look, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
The 14th Amendment is very clear.
And the only reason we're even entertaining it is because the Supreme Court has lost its mind. But it is a ridiculous, it is completely, blitheringly obvious that this does not make sense, that birthright citizenship is not something the president can eliminate with the stroke of a pen. The 14th Amendment is crystal clear.
Yeah, I mean, who knows, because it's the Supreme
Right.
Court. they can always surprise you. But I'm watching more like, do we get 3 votes for this? Do we get 2 votes for
Right.
this? Do we get 1 vote for this? Like, I don't think Roberts goes with this. I don't think Perry, I think Kavanaugh go with this. But Alito, Gorsuch, and Thomas, you never know. And who knows? Maybe we also thought this on the fucking criminal immunity case, and got surprised there. So who knows? But it seems this one is pretty clear.
Kavanaugh was there today, and it's looking rough.
I think he and Hegseth had a night.
That's a joke.
That's a joke.
It could have been a night of just dancing.
Revelry. Fellowship.
Sure. Dance a lot. Trump did not mention the TikTok ban in his speech, but he previously said he would sign an executive order delaying enforcement of the law banning it in the U.S. This after TikTok users spent the weekend with access only to messages from the app praising President Trump, even though he wasn't president yet, for his valiant efforts to save the service. Trump truthed, save TikTok. Of course, he was once for the ban. Now he's trying to save it. Then TikTok's now back for people. It's all in limbo right now. But basically, the law says it gives the president the authority to delay the implementation of the ban by 60 or 90 days if there is a potential deal in the offing. It doesn't seem like there is a potential deal, but it seems like they're just going with this anyway. The Biden administration had said in their final days, we're not going to enforce the law, so TikTok can remain operational.
Which is cool, by the way. Cool.
Right.
Like, great.
And then TikTok being like, well, we don't want Biden to say that we can be operational and not get people's attention, so we're going to do a stunt and shut down. And it worked, of course, because then it got everyone's attention, everyone in TikTok who hadn't been paying attention about that. What do we think about this the Trump being the savior of TikTok? Dan, I know you wrote a box on this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is going to be the thing that defines his presidency, but we can talk about national security concerns, we can talk about the dangers of TikTok, but from pure politics, he played it exactly right. And I do think the Democrats...
And so did TikTok and the many Republican and Democratic lobbyists they hired that have been working full-time for them.
I mean, it's really not that complicated that if we're doing pure politics here.
Yep.
That if you're going to take something of tremendous value from 6 in 10 voters under 30, and then you never talk about why that should happen from the moment you pass the law in the dark of night until the day it disappears. Like, no one ever made the case for it. You know, Biden could have tried to make a public show, as Trump did in the first administration, of trying to facilitate a deal. It's like they all passed this thing, they passed it without really thinking about it. They didn't sell it, they didn't make a case for it. And Trump understood right away. I mean, for entirely cynical, ridiculous reasons, we understood the politics of it. Because at the time, a lot of these Democrats voted for it, and the Republicans too, because your choice was anger the youths or look soft on China. And they defaulted to what was always theoretically better politics, being tough on China. And there's just a real difference between taking something that matters a lot to a group of people. Like you and I used this example with you on Friday. For voters of a certain age, taking away TikTok is like taking away cable TV from us in our 20s. Like it just disappears one day. And that is taking something away from someone is always going to be worse politics than generically being tough or soft on another country in a way that doesn't really affect people. And so, I mean, from a political perspective, Trump did very well here. He got probably the most expensive free ad in American history to have push notifications sent to 170 million Americans, first begging you to save the app and then crediting you for saving it all within a 12-hour period. It's like,
Yeah, profoundly frustrating 24 hours. I mean, I thought Dan's piece on this in Messagebox, his newsletter, which you all should subscribe to, was excellent.
thank you, Tommy.
There was lots of less thoughtful commentary on Twitter about how, once again, Dems suck and Republicans rule because we give to Trump this political win. And I just wish, and while that is true, the politics of this did not end well for Joe Biden or the Democratic Party. I wish people were pointing out, though, that the vote in the House to ban was 360 to 58. So like 186 Republicans voted for banning TikTok or divesting TikTok. It was 79-18 in the Senate, so you have 31 Republicans in the Senate. This is an overwhelming bipartisan decision. The reason they did it was national security concerns, which they've done an absolutely terrible job explaining to anyone. So no one understands why this happened. But I also think part of the story of how Trump went from wanting to ban TikTok and trying to do it on his way out the door to getting to saving TikTok is also that he met with a big donor named Jeff Yass, who said something to him that led him to flip flop on this issue. And I think Jeff Yass owns 15% of ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok. So there is a big money angle here. And then, TikTok wasn't shut down. They shut themselves down preemptively so they could put up this little "Please save us, Mr. Trump" that they shouted from their tall tower. And then they gave him the win, and they're like, "Oh, Mr. Trump saved us," to suck up to the incoming administration. So it was just like, it was so obviously a stunt. And people were like, the commentary on Twitter in particular was just so fucking incredulous.
I think that I don't even think it's, I mean, I'm sure there could be a money angle to it, but like, I'm sure Kellyanne Conway, like, talked to Donald Trump and was like, "Hey, one of the reasons you won is because of TikTok, and they love you on TikTok now, and TikTok's a great place to get your message out." And he's like, "Really? What's a TikTok?" And they're like, "Well, here it is." And he's like, "You know what? Sure. Yeah, I'm into it now."
Yeah.
Right?
Probably, but Jeff Yass bought like a ton of shares of Truth Social
Yeah.
at the time and like put a bunch of money into the Trump team's pocket. So
I think it could be a why not both situation.
Yes.
I mean, it really is to me is like just as Joe Biden goes out the door, it's like just these three big problems. One of them being like the reason they did this was never communicated, and Joe Biden could never communicate it. They never made the case. They passed it too quickly. There's always these vague indications of national security that explaining why then the same spyware was fine in the hands of Americans. It was baffling.
It's a perfect example of institutional failure.
Yes.
It's everything.
Yes.
It's like we're and this is it's Democrats and Republicans, and Donald Trump doesn't care what the fuck people think about Republicans either. Like you're right, the lefties on Twitter who are mad who are against hate, right, or like blaming Democrats, they'll blame Democrats for everything, and Democrats get blamed here. I also think that like it is a Republican fault. Trump doesn't care if it's a bunch of Republicans going to bus too, because he is separate from the mass in Washington. But for the mass in Washington, the establishment in Washington that tried to work together in a bipartisan way to do the right thing, it's just the same story of the last however many years, which is we know it's right, it is the right thing, and they could be right, right? Like I'm persuaded that there's some national security threats here too, right? But we don't need to tell you.
They never
Just
explained it.
trust us. No one trusts them, but trust us.
And they made a big show of like declassifying all this information around the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So why not do that again here?
Yeah,
Like, there's a way to
great point.
put information into people's hands.
So that's one. So then you have two. Donald Trump teaches all these Republicans that you don't need to have shame, that you can live without shame, and they embrace it. And it is amazing how few guardrails there are. Once the shame guardrail was gone. Now this moment is everybody outside of politics learning that lesson for themselves. All these tech companies and these guys realizing, wait, if I just kiss his ass, I get a bad op-ed in the Washington Post, and then I get everything I want. I don't care about the Washington Post. I don't care what the elite says anymore. All I have to do is ignore it or pretend it doesn't bother me.
He's got the power. They don't have the power.
Right.
They can't hurt me with their words.
And so
He just sit on the dais.
And so there was a time when people had a certain amount of dignity, where you might not, if you lead a company, go into a room full of people that work for you and say, put up a little supplicating message that says Donald Trump has a huge penis and how beautiful it is.
Mhm.
And then we'll say that we saw it ourselves. And then he'll be happy.
Turn the porno kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy, we have very different TikTok algorithms. That's the message I got.
TikTok is going to put up a ridiculous message like this and say, thank you, Mr. Trump. Like, we used to make fun of the people that said, thank you, Mr. Trump. Now the biggest
It's
leaders in the American economy are doing it.
who I'm sure did not come up with the idea on their own, which is not a really brilliant idea to come up with. But again, they have had Republican and Democratic consultants, lobbyists. They're all on. Everyone in Washington is on TikTok's payroll. They hired them all, and it is the easiest fucking money to make to go in there and be like, hey, I got an idea. Just say thank you, Donald Trump.
And so then the third piece of it, which is I think about like the difference between what it is like to be a Democrat online versus a Republican online, is when Democrats do something bad, or Republicans criticize Democrats. When they achieve something, when Democrats achieve something, Republicans attack Democrats. When a bipartisan bill like this happens, right? The online left attacks Democrats. And it's not, oh, this is actually Donald Trump. There's no one making that argument. It's a bunch of people declaring, this is why Democrats are terrible. This is why Democrats are terrible. And I agree they're terrible. But if we want to, I agree with all of that. But like, so much of the time that you see these two things side by side, which is, how do Republicans get away with this stuff, right? How do they do it? How do they do it? When you look at our media, and it's a bunch of people that are much more interested in being part of the discourse of strategy than actually doing the attack, right? There's a lot of people saying, oh, Donald Trump's going to get credit for this, as opposed to a bunch of people saying, Donald Trump doesn't deserve credit for it, here's why, right? Like, we don't have, there's like, Republicans have so many more soldiers in the social media wars than we do. We have analysts and we have observers. And like, if you want to talk about how
Proud
Donald
soldier
Trump
right
managed
here.
to change politics so much over the last 8 years and how things are possible now that weren't possible before, it was that slow and steady work of those people making acceptable things that weren't acceptable. We just don't have those people.
Fixed bayonets, love it.
Yeah, so on
Charge.
internet,
Charge
social.
And there's a, look,
Yeah.
I think
I will, I'm ready.
I
It's a virtual, it's digitally.
No, there's actually a Steve Bannon thing he always says, we're fixed bayonets, we go after
I don't know the lingo.
But I'm also
Sorry.
someone, like, I'm in complete agreement with Dan's message box that the politics are what they are for Democrats, and also
Me too.
I'm for the ban. I think the ban is a good idea. I think that having the CCP control one of the largest media platforms that 170 million people in the United States are on, that is like melting their fucking brains, our brains. I'll include myself there too, just to not. I don't want to offend the youth. We're all part of it. Again, I think it's bad.
I mean, by law, ByteDance has to provide the Chinese Communist Party with whatever it wants, basically. And, you know, the broader context is the Chinese have hacked into basically every single telecom company in the United States. We've been unable, the United States government's been unable to get them out. We've learned over time that this op that's called Salt Typhoon, they've managed to get audio and text messages of calls from Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, senior political officials. So there's this ongoing hacking war happening. And the idea that the Chinese national security state wouldn't use TikTok when it's on
Read
all our phones.
Everyone just read the Supreme Court opinion, the 9-0 Supreme Court opinion. ByteDance is collecting the content of private messages on TikTok. It is also collecting the email and contact info of anyone in your contacts if you're using TikTok.
And
Their emails too. So
And-
now the Chinese government, when they want to, can have the names, location data, like what you're buying, email of every single American. So like, again, maybe you're fine with that, but it's also a legitimate concern to address.
right, but this to me is this is the problem, right? And all of that would be okay if it were in the hands of an American. And to me, like what I take away from this,
We're a nation. That's why we have borders.
right? But if we're talking about yes, it is worse when China does it.
Right, I'm
But
just
we have
saying.
accepted an incredible level of invasion by these companies, which also should not be allowed. We went through a cycle of this with Facebook in 2016, and
Love
then,
it, piece of fucking shit.
Elon Musk's Twitter and how that's changed, misinformation on TikTok, and whether it's Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk or the Russians or Chinese communists, what all these people have learned is that like you
Theorem.
throw a bunch
It's
of
not good enough for him, for us
throwing
to censor
stars
China,
and nunchucks and
which is horrible already.
bayonets and knives into the center of a digital
He's
circle,
whining that we
Americans will
won't
pick them
censor
up and kill each
ourselves,
other with
too.
them. And that to me is still the problem, right? And so like whether people go from TikTok to fucking Reels, like I don't like that this like the
Yeah, we
law
have a bigger
remains
problem.
the law remains the law, right? Donald Trump's allowed to extend it, but they have to put it in other people's hands. But like the problem of misinformation and the way in which these technologies are fucking terrible for us continues.
And by the way, nobody knows Joe Biden can pick around anymore, and the people who are now most opposed to Trump saving TikTok, Tom Cotton, Republican senator, who's already posted, Mike Johnson on Meet the Press was very like, we're gonna try to, the law is the law. Like, I do think he's gonna have, at least at the beginning, like always, some Republican pushback on
Yeah,
it.
Trump wants to force a sale to
Yeah.
someone
Friend.
more supportive of him, like Elon Musk. I think the critics of this ban are right to point out comments from senior U.S. government officials where they said that like real momentum behind TikTok's ban came when there was tons of pro-Palestinian content on there about Gaza, and I do think that was sort of bizarre that
Stupid argument.
U.S. government officials are making that argument. But anyway.
Yeah, how about people try something? Make the case for why it should be banned. Just like talk and like declassify or make public some of these actual arguments that have clearly scared members of Congress behind the scenes that we are still not seeing.
And again, Ketanji Brown Jackson and Sam Alito
Yeah.
agreed. Hot Take America is brought to you by Vaya. The holiday season mess with your routine. Looking to take charge of your life with full mental clarity this new year? Enhance your CBD and embrace CBD Awareness Month with Vaya and experience the powerful benefits of hemp without the high. Boasted by over 500,000 happy customers, Vaya is the Swiss Army knife of wellness, dedicated to harnessing the natural benefits of hemp
cowards.
to create high-quality wellness products. Via's collection of THC-free products combines minor cannabinoids like CBD, CBG, and CBN with botanical supplements for targeted effects you can actually feel. Whether you're looking to improve your sleep, focus, or relief, Via has something for you. Via is also well renowned for their award-winning THC and THC-free gummies and vapes, THC flower soothing topicals, and calming drops. All made with the highest quality hemp sourced from trusted, independently owned American farms. And the best part, Via legally ships to nearly all states in the U.S. in discreet packaging directly to your door with a worry-free guarantee, no medical card required. So if you're 21 plus, check out our link to Via's website in our description and use code CROOKED for 15% off. And if you're new to Via, get a free gift of your choice. Via's great. I tried some of their CBD, their THC gummies, because, you know, that's kind of how I roll times. And they're fantastic. It's CBD helps you sleep. At least I find that to be true. So it's really great. Highly recommend. If you're 21 plus, go to via.co/crooked and use the code crooked to receive 15% off. And if you're new to Via, get a free gift of your choice. That's via.co/crooked. Use code crooked. After you purchase, they ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Again, via.co/crooked. Use code crooked. This year, enhance your everyday with Via. Pod Save America is brought to you by Helix. The Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses, including award-winning Luxe and Ultra Premium Elite collections. Helix Plus, a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers. Helix Mattress, designed for growing bodies, endorsed by child sleep experts. So how will you know which Helix mattress works best for you and your body? Take the Helix Sleep Quiz and find your perfect mattress in under 2 minutes. Not sure you can take my word for it? Helix has been awarded the #1 mattress, picked by GQ and Wired Magazine. It's even recommended by multiple leading chiropractors and doctors of sleep medicine as a go-to solution for improving your sleep. Love Helix mattress. A couple in our house. He's got one. It's his very first mattress, and he loves it. Very comfortable, as do I when I am in there reading my book. We also have our guest mattress is a Helix mattress, and that's super comfy. That's at least what we hear from our guests. So highly recommend going to get yourself a Helix mattress. Go to helixsleep.com/cricket for 27% off site-wide, plus 2 free dream pillows with mattress purchase. That's helixsleep.com/cricket for 27% off site-wide, plus 2 free dream pillows with mattress purchase. helixsleep.com/cricket. One last unintentionally funny clip from
I don't know who you are, but thank you.
Inaugural address. This one in honor of Martin Luther King. It's Martin Luther King Day. Happy Martin Luther King Day, everyone.
This week,
May your sacrifice please the algorithm gods.
of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based.
Merit-based. Did you see all the billionaires clapping behind him?
They're ready. They're ready for this
Merit-based.
merit-based future.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you think it was merit-based that got those seats?
That's
Right?
how Donald Trump became head of the Republican National Committee.
Merit-based.
You know, Jared Kushner became an advisor at the White House.
You see that the billionaires got the second row behind Trump,
Mm-hmm.
and then the cabinet gets the third row behind Trump.
As they should.
It's in a row of declining influence.
That's exactly right.
The Republican governors were in the overflow.
Donald Trump, when Donald Trump went to the overflow, he started talking about Texas, and somebody shouted, "He's here! He's here! He's in the room with you now!"
It's merit-based now, guys.
Mhm.
That's one thing you should remember about the second Trump term. Speaking of merit-based, I alluded to this earlier, but Trump did launch a Trump coin over the weekend, and then Melania launched a Melania coin.
Kennedy and Jackie.
Does anyone want to explain these meme coins? What they are, why they're a scam, what's
Sure.
going on?
You're buying nothing. You are technically buying a digital playing card, but it's not supposed to be viewed as a security or an investment or a donation to Trump. You're buying nothing because you like the thing. But people buy and sell and trade these things because they know with some of these meme coins, also called shit coins, you can see huge rips to the upside where there's like Dogecoin and all of a sudden Elon Musk likes it, and you can see people pile in. When the
Can you
price
talk about
goes
what
up.
rips to the upside mean?
You can see the value go way up. If you bought it for 1 cent and it goes to $1, you make a ton. So that's what seems to have happened here. They're a company connected to Trump owns 80% of these Trump